You're listening to Parasearch UK Radio. News, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. Parasearch UK Radio.
The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch UK Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
You're listening to The Spirit Dimension with your host, Kerry Greenaway, right here on Parasearch Radio.
Good evening and welcome to The Spirit Dimension. My name is Kerry Greenaway and I'm joined in the studio by the lovely Clare Hinks. Good evening, Clare.
Good evening, Kerry. And how are you today?
I'm absolutely loving lighting all over the place today.
Oh, we are love and lighting. It's love and joy everywhere.
We certainly are tonight. Now, we were supposed to be joined in the studio by the lovely Lisa Michaels. Unfortunately, Lisa has come down really poorly, so can't actually join us tonight. So we're gonna...
what a shame. What are we going to do?
Well, I actually don't know. No, I do. I actually have no idea. So we're going to just have a phone conversation, me and Claire, for an hour, and you guys can listen to it. No, I'm only joking. So what we thought we'd do is just come on anyway and have a little chat with myself and Claire. We are in the chat room, guys, so if you want to be part of the conversation or ask me and Claire anything at all, then please come into the chat room and feel free to ask, and we'll do our very, very best to answer any questions you may have. So, Claire. Right, let's start. Kerry. You have a brand spanking new logo.
I have. This is good. So it's taken me, I should tell the world, it's taken me a really long time, like years, to get brave enough to even consider myself as a medium in a business kind of way. Mm-hmm. So a logo for me was quite a massive thing because it's a whole self-confidence. Oh my God, I'm going to get a logo. So I tossed around some ideas, but I always had in my mind that I wanted a dragonfly. Because for me, a dragonfly has lots of meaning. I mean, a dragonfly is has a very spiritual meaning anyway. And if you've heard the water bugs and dragonflies story, have you?
Go for it. Tell us all about the water bugs and dragonfly story.
So the water bugs and dragonflies, the story goes that the water bugs live below the surface of the pond, and every time one of them passes away, they go up to no, that's wrong, actually. The water bugs live below the surface of the pond.
Uh-huh.
And every so often, one would climb up the lily stalk and just disappear through the surface of the water and then never come back. Oh. So all the water bugs beneath started to think, well, this is a bit strange. Why do our friends and our relations keep leaving and not coming back? So they made an agreement that the next time one of them climbed the lily stalk and broke through the surface, that they would come back and tell them what it was like. So this little water bug climbed up the lily stalk, broke through the surface, and realised how beautiful it was, and the warm sun was shining, and there were beautiful flowers and birds and bees, and it was just wonderful. And he turned around to fly back down, because obviously he became a dragonfly. So he flew out and became a dragonfly. Tried to come back, but obviously couldn't come back through the surface of the water, because once he's a dragonfly, he can't go back into the water. So that has quite a lot of spiritual meaning. Obviously, when we pass, we move, our soul leaves and moves on. So for me, the dragonfly was a really, it had a lot of meaning. And we have a lot of family history surrounding the dragonfly as well. We lost a very dear member of our family to cancer, a long time ago now, several years ago now. And he passed away in a hospice, and the hospice, their story was the water bugs and dragonfly story. And so the dragonfly for our family was really, just for me, really touched my heart, and it's always connected me to likes of my granddad and to Pete, who passed in the hospice. And so for me to have the dragonfly is a real, you know what, guys, this is for you. It connects me to spirit, because obviously that's my thing. That's what I do. But to have that dragonfly connection with them is just, it makes it more special, really. Yeah. So, yay for the dragonfly.
Yeah, well, that's a lovely story. I quite like that. And you say, it has a nice spiritual connection with what happens after, doesn't it?
Yeah. I just really liked it, and it just something that really resonated with what I do as well. Yeah.
So
it's a nice story to share.
And you've had this come up in your life, haven't you, really, in regards to the special meaning behind this for you? When you find a way, or when your life changes and you found changes are occurring, this dragonfly kind of tends to pop up, doesn't it?
Well, it does. This is more latterly, actually.
Since you changed your logo. This has actually happened since you changed your logo.
Yeah.
And there's no connection. I'd just like to point this out. We're talking about this because there is no connection between Claire changing her logo and then what happened next. It was quite, should we say, a strange coincidence?
No such thing.
Okay. Anyway, tell people what happened.
So what happened was I started to notice that the more I embraced what I was doing as a medium, and then once I kind of said, you know what, I'm going to do this, I'm going to really throw myself into this. I've got my logo, and I'm going to start, I'm going to get some good business cards, and I started to embrace and have self-belief, what I was doing. So got my dragonfly sorted out, and then I started to notice that when things were going the way I wanted them to, or things would turn up in my life, so would a dragonfly. So for example,
I love the way she giggles about this. It's always it is really strange. Carry
it's just
on.
Me, we all think that we haven't got a story to tell, don't we? And I'm so guilty of it. I'm the first person that says, everyone wants to hear your story. Tell us. But I'm the last person that wants to tell my story. So I started to put it out there that I needed a little bit more synchronicity with my muggle job and my mediumship and my spiritual work. So I needed something to work. Something needed to change in order for me to be able to embrace my spiritual work with ease. And I took my son into to get a job in a cafe, coincidentally called the Greenhouse, quite close to where I live. And I walked into that shop, into that cafe with my son, and he landed himself a job, and he was chatting to the lady, and she looked at me and she said, I suppose you want a job, do you? Now, this isn't something that I went in there to do for myself. This was obviously for my son. And the idea of changing my job had only been, I'd only set intent. I hadn't, I'd just been saying it to myself, to the universe every day. I hadn't really, apart from that, I hadn't really thought about it. I hadn't been actively looking for a new job. I just put it out there. And so she offered me a job, and I was like, well, I don't really know. And I kind of got looking around, sat there thinking about it. And I noticed that there was a giant dragonfly in a frame on the wall in there. The more I got looking around, the more I realised that there wasn't just one dragonfly on the wall. There was several. And yeah, exactly. Ashley's in the chat room, and he's just put balance. Exactly. It's all about balance. And that dragonfly in there was kind of like, right, this feels right. So I made the change, and I've, now been in there about a month working in the greenhouse, and the group that I run, the spiritual awareness group, which is also the dragonflies, because we named it the dragonflies. We also hold that in the greenhouse, and exactly what you say about synchronicity, it's all just slotted into place so well. And the people that it's brought to the group and the people that I've met since I've been in there, it's just amazing. It just reminds me how, you know, when things actually fall into the right place at the right time, just I've never actually felt so in the right place in my life before. I feel like I'm exactly where I should be at this moment. But I also feel like because of all of that falling into place, I kind of feel like I'm more on the way to where I need to be than I've ever been before. If that makes sense. So yay for the dragonfly, that's all I could say.
Yeah. See, I love this. You know. I love that. I love how when you watch it for other people, you know, you can see it occurring for other people and you go, wow, that's awesome. That is more an affirmation for me than how it works for myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I spend so much time saying to other people, you know, do this, or, you know, manageable chunks. We were saying this the other day, manageable chunks.
Break it down.
Break it down. Do little things to, you know, get your balance. You know what you want to do. Set your intention, because I'm all about positive thinking and setting your intention and telling the universe, this is what I want, because I feel like I'm living proof that you can achieve that, you know, for myself anyway.
Yeah.
So when it started to happen for me, I was like, ooh, this is cool. I'm going to do this some more.
I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep trying this.
Yeah, but now, oh God, I feel like I'm just nattering on about myself. But now, I feel like, you know, that the mediumship side of, which is obviously my thing, that's what I do, is just the tip of the iceberg. I feel like that's my platform to be able to tell people, hey, we're in charge of our lives. You know, we can actually achieve whatever we want to achieve. We can do this. You just have to have an intention. That's all.
Yeah.
So people,
what do you
get your intention set in?
I was going to say, so do you wake up in the morning and you go, right, today I want, I don't know.
Oh, today I write
a new house, for example.
Good example. So what I do, I mean, I would say you have to find your own groove. So for me, I connect with the universal energy. So I focus on connecting with the higher being, whatever that is, whether you want to call it God, the universe, creativity, whatever it is for you. For me, it's a universal. So I get myself in a little routine in the morning where I sit in that energy for a few minutes and I just focus on feeling it. I call in my guides. I call in higher beings. Anybody who wants to pop in and help, really. Just come on in.
Come on in. Give me a hand here. Yeah. I'm struggling. I don't know what I'm doing. So help.
Bring it in. Yeah. And I surrender. I've read this actually recently, which has kind of got me doing it. I surrender my life to the universe. I surrender it. And I say, in my mind, I surrender my life to the universe and I receive love, joy and abundance. And I just sit in it. And then I add, you know, a little bit of financial abundance would be quite nice. Or, you know, whatever. Example, moving house is a good example because that's something that we'd quite like to do as a family. So I've been surrendering my home to the universe. I love my home and I view it with love and joy. This is when you say love and joy.
Love and light brigade.
Love and joy. But I want to receive a new home. And I think of the things that I need in that new home, whether it be an extra bedroom or parking space or, you know, a reading room, whatever we need. And I just put it out there. I ask for it. You know, I ask for it.
Yeah.
And little things begin to happen that haven't happened before, you know, just people making comments, passing comments I don't even realise they're making, which to me goes, the universe is listening.
Well, it was a bit like when Heather did we had Heather Prince on a couple of weeks ago, and when she was doing your on air Akashic record.
Yeah, my little
thing. When she was doing her thing with you, she started talking about a pilot, didn't she? And of all the analogies she could have used, that really resonated for you, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, because she was using the word pilot, and she was... What else did she say? She was saying pilot, and
she said, like, if you go like a degree off your course, then you could end up in the sea. Didn't she?
That's
she
right.
Was saying,
that's right.
That's where she was going with it, as an analogy for life. So you've got to keep focused on your intent. What you want to do and what you want to achieve. Because if you, but
it was interesting that she used the word pilot, and she was referring to it like that, because my dad was a pilot.
Yeah.
And died in a plane crash. So it was a bit. For me, that really resonated as well.
And I that's the side of it I find fascinating, is that you could. Yes, okay, so, there's a lot of scepticism around mediums or this kind of work. But when you start working, you don't know what's going to come. You never know, do you, when you sit down with somebody, how it's going to appear, or how that message, I want to say, is put forward. So when you do start working in this way, sometimes it isn't necessarily, I've got your grandma standing here and she looks like this and blah, blah, blah. Sometimes it's, as you're talking, you'll find yourself using analogies and things like that, which you probably wouldn't necessarily have used. But that actually is what resonates with the person you're reading more than anything else.
I missed you a bit. I think we've got gremlins on the line.
Oh, no. We don't want gremlins.
Can you hear me? Oh,
yeah.
no. No, we don't want gremlins. But I totally understand, what you're saying.
I say, when I've sat down with clients before now, sometimes I've said things, and I can't tell you that they were a spirit connection, but whatever way I put it resonated so wholly with the person who I was reading for. And I find that so much more with tarot, because that's how I work, so generally, and crystals, obviously. But
actually, it's really interesting that you say that as well, because I think there's been a bit of a shift in how we receive that information as well. Like, I work obviously with spirit, so I'm passing on messages from loved ones in spirit, but I do cards as well, and I've noticed really over the last 3 or 4 weeks that the information that comes through the cards is bang on, like it's never been before. It's really interesting. I don't know if that's because there's been a bit of a shift in
the cosmology.
Energy,
there's been a massive shift recently going through into Taurus. I'm not a cosmologist, and I can only repeat what I've been told by others. But when I've noticed talking to people that there has been, in regards to spiritual workers, there's been a huge, we call it an ascension, that moving up the stage, that change in how you're working, and that has actually happened to some of the strangest people, even people that wouldn't expect to have stepped into a more connected way than before.
I think there's been a lot of waking up, hasn't there? A lot of awakening.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that with group readings that I've been doing as well. I come across so many more people that are there who are either really skeptical or have never done anything like this before, and whatever, and have left feeling completely blown away or woken up, like, whoa, it's amazing, really. It's all,
there's definitely been that shift, isn't there? Now, with new people coming into the spiritual field, there's a lot of bewilderment as well, isn't there, of what to do with this. They've had this feeling and this awakening, but they don't know what to do, what direction to go in.
No, and I meet a lot of people that are hearing or seeing, don't know what to do, don't have the right boundaries in place, don't know how to, move forward or shut it off. Because some people, it can be awful, can't it? It can be terrifying.
Yeah.
Suddenly be hearing loads of voices in in your head. Been there, literally been sat rocking, thinking, "Oh my God, how do I deal with this?" So you need to be able to have boundaries in place and get some guidance, connect with your guides, connect with the ground. It's a lot. There's so much visualization, isn't there, involved? Like meditation. And I think it's easy to think when you visualize, oh, I'm just making this stuff up, am I just making this up, or is it real, or is it in my imagination?
Oh no, I totally agree with that. I mean, there's been, even no matter how practiced I can be and focused I can be with my work, even then there's still times where I'm like, what the hell is this? When I go into a visualization, because it's not what you're visualizing, it's the things that come in external of your own personal visualization that are the things you need to take note of. So you can visualize,
and it's the things that drop in, isn't it?
Yes, it's the drop in things. So you've got a visualization, whether that be a guided meditation or you go to a specific, the standing joke is your happy place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it could be exactly the same each time you go in, but then each time there might be something different. And it's those things that are the first embryotic stages of a connection building. And they become more profound and more larger connections.
In a way, it's foundation, isn't it?
In
a way, if you haven't done that before. Yeah, because when you're in your early stages of embracing this stuff and getting to understand it and learn about it and everything, the foundation, I always say to people about writing things down, after you've had a meditation, write it down, or write down what's dropping in, because when it's really interesting to look back over and review, because actually I read things now and think, oh, I didn't see that as a message at the time, but actually now it completely makes sense.
Yeah. So
it's good to keep a note, but you it's all about foundation in the beginning, especially in the early stages, just getting to understand what's your imagination. There's a fine line between what's your imagination and what's not.
Yes.
Particularly if you're hearing spirit or seeing things.
Well, your visualization is your imagination, because that is you're setting that up, and the stronger you can get that visualization from your imagination, the better your connection will end up being. Because your happy place is your place, whether that be, I've had several versions of this, whether or not it's a walk in the woods or a beach, or, you're sitting in a meadow surrounded by flowers, all sorts of different people use different areas that resonate with them, that makes them feel calm. Some people are sitting by a waterfall, my personal is, I have actually a 3-stage. I like to complicate things in case anybody hadn't noticed. I love a beach, right? I do love a beach. So I have a beach, but on one side is a forest and the other side is the sea. Now, the sea will always represent my mental state at the time. So if I'm got in and I'm a bit turmoilish, then it won't be a happy sea. It'll be a bit choppy. But there's no weather, as it were. It's just the state of it. But when I enter that visualization into that place, I can enter that. I know exactly where I'm at because that's my place. But things like the time of day, I won't control. When I step through into that, that's I don't go, it's a bright sunny day on my beach. I literally go, right, that's where I'm going to. And when I step into it these days, but back in the beginning, I was obviously a lot more controlled about it. But now I'm a lot more further down the line. I can just step into that place, and it'll be things like time of day will become relevant, state of, the water will be relevant. Sometimes it's daytime, sometimes it's nighttime. Sometimes there'll be a bonfire on the beach, sometimes there won't be. You know what I mean?
Because you've learnt to recognise the signs, and that's what they do. They give you whatever. They'll change your sea, or they'll change whatever's around you. The dynamics change depending on what you need.
Exactly. And sometimes I go into the forest.
Because you use that place for so long, you understand those as messages now, don't you?
Mm. Very, very much so. And it's become like an automatic, that's my automatic starting point before I work. So if I'm going into a meditation, that's what I use. Now I don't need music. I don't need a guided meditation. I mean, I did quite a lot of that going back when I first started the guided meditations. Personally, for me, I don't like them now. But that's a personal resonance. That's a personal resonance. But if you find you're having trouble, it's a really good starting point. It's because you keep moving, love. Sit still.
No, I'm not. I'm moving to get you.
I know, she's literally moving around the house while we're talking.
I am. Did a little jig, yeah. Did a bit of Anna
Stop.
Christ.
You're perfect.
I know I'm perfect.
Well, there is that. But no, you know what I mean? It's those, they're a good starting point, guided meditations or music or stuff like that. So I would never say to anybody don't use them, because I think they're a fantastic, good starting point. But in the end, you find you don't need them.
Yeah.
And you can do it anywhere. So, like, if I went walking the dog...
Because the more you get to... Yeah. And the more you do it, the more you meditate and allow your brain to go that little bit further and just connect with whatever drops in, the more used to it you become. So then the easier it becomes.
Yeah.
And the more you realise, exactly. Yeah. And some people, I meet people that come to our group that hate meditation, are almost scared of it because they can't do it. Bang. That's it.
But straight away, there's a block there, though, isn't there?
Yeah, yeah. So it's breaking down the block. It's just relaxing enough to go. I always say, look, don't give yourself grief because you think you can't meditate. It's not supposed to be a stressful thing. You're not supposed to get yourself in a state because you can't do it. It's just about stilling the mind. If you just get used to doing that first, rather than actually thinking, oh, I've got to meditate, I've got to go off somewhere, because if it doesn't work for you, you have to grow into it. It takes a little while.
It can. I mean, I used to have real trouble. I used to get very, very frustrated right back in the beginning, because I would sort of be sitting there and just think I'm getting in the zone. And then I think, oh, what do I need for my shopping list? Or, oh, I've got to change the washing over. Or, oh, no, it's supposed to be meditating. Oh, my God. I'm back on my beach. Back on my beach.
Ooh,
you know what I mean? I pull myself back each time. But
I've got to do this when I get home, or I've got to clean or write a shopping list.
Yeah, or
because
God, I forgot to file that report. That was always a constant one. Damn it, I forgot to do that. You know what I mean? And it was always that day-to-day intrusion that broke the concentration in the meditation. But the more I did it, the more I found it was like longer between those things. And in the end, now I can do it without an issue, quite frankly.
But that's natural,
though.
But that's a natural thing for your brain to do, isn't it? In the beginning, because I go back to the early stages again, your brain, as soon as you sit down and do something quietly or think or try to think about nothing, your brain goes, oh, I need to do this, or I need to do that, or I need to make packed lunches, or I've got to go and buy bread, or, your brain, it's natural for your brain to automatically start processing,
pulling those things forward that you might have forgotten, because you are still in your mind. So it's like, oh, hang on, you forgot to buy the bread earlier on today, and exactly. That is a natural thing for your brain to do, and it is a form of control. You have to have that control in place, and most people generally haven't got it to sit down and go, no, I'm doing this now, and focus completely on the task in hand, whether that be sitting down doing a meditation or they're just going, right, today I've got to do the shopping, the washing, the housework, I've got to get the kids to school, I've got a meeting here for Joe Blogs to do, I don't know, my car MOT, I've got this to do, that to do, that to do. They go through the day, sit down, exhausted, look at the TV, and their brain is so crammed full of day-to-day, like normal everyday living, that they don't think they've got that time to spend. When actual fact is, if you spend that time, focus and concentration, those other things flow a lot more easily.
Yeah, it promotes order without you even realising it.
Yeah, very much so. Which is why the Chinese love a meditation, don't they? They've introduced that into their schooling system and that now.
Yeah, we should have that here.
I think it's
100%.
well worth it. Yeah, I think that would be a hugely important thing. Anyway,
I think it would change.
Hold that thought.
No, go on.
We're going to have a quick break. I've actually remembered the break this week, Claire. That's amazing, isn't it?
I'm impressed.
I know. See, meditation helps.
Will I remember the break next week? I asked myself.
We shall see. We shall see. So bear with us 1 second while we take a quick.
Hey there, friends and fiends. I am TV host and journalist Aaron Sagers from Paranormal Pop Culture, and you are listening to Parasearch Radio with your host, Kerry. Join us at Coombe Abbey Hotel from the 8th to 11th November 2018 at the Sage Paracon for a VIP weekend of all things paranormal. Tickets are on sale now at www.sageparacon.co.uk. Tickets are limited, so do not miss out. Get yours today, and I mean right now, right this second. I will wait for you to get them, and then I will see you there.
You're listening to The Spirit Dimension on Parasearch Radio UK with your host, Kerry.
Welcome back. My name is Kerry Greenaway. You're listening to The Spirit Dimension, and I'm here in the studio with the lovely Clare Hinks, and we may well be joined by her lovely husband at some point. Because he keeps popping in. Now, we were talking about meditation before the break. Now, there are different forms of meditation that you can do. One of my favourites is what I class as an active meditation, where my body, my hands are busy, but my mind is free to do other things. But there's another form of meditation that you can do, which is basically just sit and write and don't overthink what you write, isn't there, Claire?
So a little like channeling?
Maybe that's where I'm going. So explain to me how you do it, because you do a little bit of channeling, don't you?
Yeah, and I don't ever think of it like that, actually. I just get the urge to write. So I just sit down and I just write what comes into my head. And I find the more that I do it, the easier it becomes and the less I think about it.
Yeah. But the key point
I don't really know
how
to explain it.
The key point to that one is not to edit as you write. So you literally...
No. Don't cross anything out.
You literally have to allow the flow and just write. And then once you've done it, once you've finished, because that'll be a natural thing. You'll know when it's time to stop writing, because it will flow so easily, and then all of a sudden it will stop. It'll be like the flow's cut off. Then read it and edit it.
And what I was saying earlier about writing down, like after you've done a meditation, just to write down what you've done, your experience from it, and seeing the message later. I've done a lot of that in the past, and so seeing the message later, like when I say later, I mean, maybe a month later, gone back and read what I've written and gone, oh my God, now I understand that somebody else wrote that as a message,
Or
it wasn't even something that
I write that?
Yeah. God, because some things I've written and thought that anybody that knows me would think, God, that doesn't even sound like me, that I've written that.
Yeah. Because it's not about you. It's about allowing that flow to come through you, and not overthinking it, and just writing what you feel. Writing it down.
Yeah,
no
just
how
let it
bizarre
flow.
it sounds. Just let it flow.
Yep.
And then...
Yep.
As I say, the key point is to not edit as you go. Not reread it, just keep going until it's done. And then stop, go back, reread it. Then maybe, put your punctuation in or, whatever. But I think when I've done it, which isn't an awful lot, I will admit that, it's just allowing that flow to happen. And I've generally found it's been quite good. Yeah, however you write, Ashley.
Yes.
Is it possible to go via messaging app? Yeah. Because I've done it before now. When I've been like messaging someone, then all of a sudden I will be getting thoughts that aren't really my thoughts, because in my head I might be thinking, no, can't really say that live on air, but I might be thinking something completely different. But then the advice I would give would be something that's not necessarily coming from me. It would be coming from a higher self or a different being, or however you want to view that. You know what I mean?
I think when it's not you. When you're writing or typing or whatever you're choosing, however you're choosing to do it, when it's just flowing onto the page, there's a difference between thinking about what you're writing and just writing.
Yeah, And do you think people get so caught up with having that visual person or entity or spirit guide or something? You know, people get so caught up with, well, I haven't connected to my spirit guide. That don't mean to say you're not getting messages via them.
Definitely. Because you don't have to connect with a spirit guide to get a message.
No.
Because spirit connect to you in all sorts of different ways.
Yeah.
And they, you know, doesn't have to make sense. That's not what they do. They don't make sense. If they made sense, everyone would be doing it. It'd be easy.
Yeah, that's it.
You know?
Yeah. But that's the tricky point.
Checking in all over the place.
People expect, you know, like to sit down, meditate. A spirit guide steps forward. They get a beautiful message or whatever, you know, a beautiful connection with this spirit guide, and they get profound knowledge or whatever it be. But it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work like that.
It's a lot more subtle than that, isn't it?
Yes, definitely.
It took ages for me to connect to a spirit guide. And even then I questioned it.
Yeah. I think the first time I connected with the spirit guide was I read a book and thought, I'd been doing this a while, and I read a book and it literally said in there, when you're ready to connect with your spirit guide, just sit down and ask, you know, the person in charge of your development to step forward. And I thought, oh, maybe I should try that.
Yeah.
So I did. And the book said to just allow it to flow, exactly what we've been saying. Just allow it to flow, see what happens, accept the first thing that comes into your mind, which obviously now we've all learned, you know, and I've learned, always accept the first thing that comes into your mind, no matter what you're doing.
No matter how bizarre that is, and trust me, it can be really, really bizarre.
Yeah, it can. And particularly doing readings for people, I've learned that hugely doing readings for people, because I always used to I guess myself, you know, I'd hear something in my mind and go, oh God, did you make that up?
Yeah.
I can't say that. They won't understand that. But I learned quite quickly that as soon as I started to say this bizarre, whatever it would be, I don't know, elephant or, you know, cottage cheese or whatever it was, the people would always understand. Always. I've never said anything crazy before. And someone's gone, I don't know what that is. Somebody will always own it. It's really strange.
Yeah, it is. So
I'm just getting service here while we're talking.
I'd love someone to say, this is going to sound wrong.
I thought that.
I'm going to stop that thought pattern right there.
Okay, I should explain. I've been brought a drink. Service.
My brain went complete. I went, oh, no, that sounds wrong in my head.
Yeah, and out loud.
And out loud on the radio.
So anyway,
actually blushing right now.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, Claire's frozen.
We out here. So accepting the first thing that comes into your head, how crazy it's go with the flow.
Yeah. You have to go with the flow. Stop moving, woman.
I'm sorry. You should tell the world that you can see me.
I can see Claire. She has been walking around her house in and out of connection the whole show we've been doing. And if she just sits still, it's perfect.
Okay, I'm sitting still now.
I'm getting that message direct from the spirit team telling you to stop goddamn moving. All right. So anyway.
Okay.
So now there's
I only move when you freeze, which you are doing.
Oh, well, don't worry. As long as I'm not freezing in a geeky sort of like look, it's fine. So, right. You have started to use cards, you mentioned earlier. Now, that's where I started, funnily enough. Talk about a flip. I actually
okay. So we've both gone the other way.
We've gone the other way. I actually started reading tarot, and you use an oracle deck, don't you?
Well, I use anything, really.
Everything and anything.
So I've got Guardian Angel Tarot cards, and I do have quite a lot of oracle cards, actually. I've got Mermaids and Dolphins oracle cards, Butterfly oracle cards. Yeah, I've got
your favourite one? What's your favourite deck to use?
My favourite deck. I really like my Archangel cards because when I use those, I tend to connect with your guardian angel. So I'll always see that angel connected to you. I love doing that. And I never knew when I got those, It's funny, isn't it, how you're drawn to cards? Because I wasn't not really something I spent a lot of time doing, cards. And I was drawn to these particular ones. And when I got them, I thought I needed a bit of practice. So I put a bit of a thing on my page and said, I wanted some guinea pigs. So I asked for people to, let me practice on them.
As you do.
So I had 2 or 3 people round at different times. And as soon as I started using them, I was seeing things I hadn't seen before from a spiritual sense.
Yeah.
So not only were spirit people, like their loved ones, connecting with them, but also their angels. Mm-hmm. Crazy. And angels come in all shapes and sizes, by the way.
Yeah.
They are. What's the word? I always get androgynous.
Yes, very much so.
But they're also not. So sometimes they're very feminine.
But it depends on the energy they want, or the message they want to give you, depending on what side of the fence that is on. But generally, as an entity, they're neither. They're neutral.
Yeah.
They are gender neutral. But if they're trying to show you a particular quality that you need to be mirroring, they will bring that quality out in regards to their appearance.
So how do you work when you use cards then?
Well, I don't like oracle decks, I'll be honest with you. That's not my... I'm not a light and fluffy kind of girl, in case people hadn't realised that. I love
What are you trying to say then?
I'm not... No. You can do more gentle stuff than me. I like a bit...
Are you a little bit hardcore, Kerry Greenaway?
Bit more hardcore kind of girl, I suppose. I love
Book
a tarot.
your reading with Hardcore Kerry
Hardcore Kerry. Oh God, this show's got a direction I never imagined. No, I learned from the basic, the Rider-Waite deck. That's where I started learning, and then my second deck. And I have over the years many different decks, but pretty much all of them have moved on now. So I have the Rider-Waite, my original deck, which I love, and I do use. But I was at a boot sale, and there was this silk pouch, on the table, and this table was packed full of stuff. So for me to actually see this was quite astonishing in itself, because I don't like those places. But I got a tingle straight away in my palm before anybody else goes down the wrong route of tingling. I got a tingle in my palm.
Only you, love.
Only me. I know, it's my dirty sense of humour. And I said to the woman, "Is that a tarot deck?" And she was like, she just looked at me as if to say, "How did I know that from this silk pouch?" And she was like, "Well, yeah." I went, "Do you mind if I have a look at it?" And she was like, "No." She goes, "That's absolutely fine." Got it out, and I counted them to make sure it was a full deck, and it was. But I knew it was my deck. I knew that was going to be my deck. And she was like, "That belonged to my aunt." She says she's, a lot of this stuff is stuff from her house that I'm like selling on, basically, getting rid of. She said, and that was my aunt's. I said, "Well, it's now mine." I said, "So may I have it?" And she was like, "Yeah, buy it from you." So she was like, "Yeah, that's fine." And I love that deck, and it's the Greek mythology deck. And that deck, of all the... I really, really love Greece and Greek mythology. And I'm not an expert in it at all, but I really love it. So that was quite strange. Of all the decks that turned up that I found in a boot sale was a Greek mythology deck. And that's a deck that I come and go with. But if I'm doing general readings for most people, I would use the Rider-Waite. But that's probably a comfort zone thing. I know exactly what I'm doing with Rider-Waite. But it's no different. Whatever deck you use, it's no different. It's just a resonance of different genres.
I don't always feel like I need to use my cards. But then when somebody sits at my table, I suddenly go, "Oh, I need cards." I get a wave of, "You're going to need cards for this," as well. As well as doing individual readings. Like I do obviously advertise a card reading. But sometimes when somebody sits at my table, I just think we're going to need cards as well. And we always do. And it's like an extra, I know it's an extra tool, isn't it? Your card deck.
Yeah.
But it always makes sense that they needed it, or for whatever reason, whatever it brings up.
Yeah. And
I used to be a little bit scared of my tarot cards, to be honest, because years ago I started
hard hitting.
Yeah. I was a little bit scared of them, but not scared of them. Not scared of the cards. Probably more scared of whether I was using them correctly, because I never learned to use them very well, and I always used to find it quite hard to read the picture. But I say that, and then I acquired these Guardian Angel tarot cards, which are softer. They're a little bit more light and fluffy.
Love and light, everybody.
Love and light. No, Kerry, love and joy.
Sorry, love and joy.
Yeah, a little bit more light and fluffy, like me. And but I have they've called to me more over the last couple of months than any of my other cards, any of my other decks. So people, why is that? Is that because the energy's changed? Is that because people need them?
Sometimes they need a visual. Sometimes it is purely and simply about a visual representation of what you're reading. It almost kind of validates what you're saying, even though what you're saying you don't need the cards for. Do you know what I mean? They need that validation. Yeah. Me, I need that link first. And I've always needed a tool to go in. In fact, you turned around and said, stop using tools because you could do this without tools. Whereas I've always worked with a tool, whether it be crystals. I mean, I did try crystal divination. That was working really, really well. And that's something I've yet to evolve. I have a very specific idea of how I want to evolve that. But time is my main concern at this point in time, to sit down and actually work on that. I have a very, very clear idea of what I want to do in regards to that particular new way of divination with crystals. So that is something very new that will come in, but it's obviously not ready to evolve yet. Otherwise I would have done it, if that makes sense. But it's about resonance, and sometimes people you're reading for need a visual representation. They might not know which card means what from, Auntie Nora next door, but they can see, it's almost like a visual representation of what you're saying, and people will take in more from the cards in front of you. I find that when I first got my very first deck, I was training under a guy, and lovely man, and he gave me a lot of pointers and stuff. And one of the first things he said to me is, throw the book away. Don't even think about the book. Get rid of it. And I was like, what? That gives me the answers to what they mean, for God's sakes. No, get rid of it.
Yeah.
Don't even look at it. He said, it's your connection to the cards.
It's your understanding.
Yes, and you have to build that up. So when you get a brand spanking new deck of cards, you have to go through a process which is called seasoning your deck, which is why you get advice like, you must sleep with your deck of cards. And everyone goes, what? Yeah, sleep with your deck of cards. When you're connecting to your higher arcana set, one card a night under your pillow. Trust me, you will get the weirdest dreams. But you have to do, it's a way of connecting to your cards. And my cards will bail me out. If I'm reading too much for myself, if I'm becoming too reliant on their advice, they will pull me over. And that's not me doing that. I'm just pulling a card out of a deck.
Yeah.
I'll shuffle the deck and then just pull a card out. What's my guidance for today? And it will give me a guidance for today. And if I'm on the wrong pathway, or if I'm doing something that's lower self-thinking, I suppose you would class it, it will tell me. It will go, I ain't going to even give you the answer to that. It is about getting that connection to your cards and learning symbology. Read the symbols within the cards. Yeah, you've got basic life phrases and life patterns that run through the tarot. Learn the basics by all means, but do not. Oh, she's got a deck out now.
How did you know that?
Oh,
did you see me shuffle?
Yeah, obviously, I saw them.
I know, because
I'm really psychic, everybody. I felt that before she. The fact that I actually saw her shuffling them, I'd love to take that as a psychic insight. I know.
Radio live.
Go on then, pull a card, any card. It's like No, go on. You got them out now. You always got them out for a reason.
Well, actually, I got them out to tell you that I mixed two of my decks. Actually,
I've heard this before too.
So I have magical unicorns. I feel like you're taking the mickey out of me now because I'm not. All my oracle
really?
cards.
Seriously, would I do that? I'm not going to do that Come on. No, I love that. I love you mixed
all
two
my
decks.
all my light and fluffies. Right. So my angel oracles and my magical unicorn. So these are all both Doreen Virtue decks as well. And what I love about Doreen Virtue cards is that you can mix them, and they the energies bounce off of each other, and I love it.
Don't even look at the chat
fluffy
room.
card deck.
Oh.
Brace yourself.
It's all right. I'll rack out my hardcore in a minute, guys. Joking.
Wow. The thing about, I mean, maybe we should run a little online how to play with your card course.
Wow.
Kerry and Clare.
How to play with your
Clare
cards.
card show.
God. Oh dear. Funny enough, when
so
carry on. Yeah, tune in. Love.
No, go on. What were you going to say?
Well, when I was talking to Bear, she said, I want you to go on and do online readings for people, like live on the radio. Oh. And I was like, no, I don't think so. She was like,
see, I've thought about that a lot.
I think it takes too long.
Wow, I don't know. I mean, I used to. Well, I'm sort of at the stage where I just embrace whatever they chuck at me, really now. So, let's do a radio thing.
Ashley said, would it be a fluffy or a hardcore course? Well, if you're going with Claire, it's going to be like nicer. If you're with me, it's like, no, this is how you need to be.
It depends what the intuition states.
To be fair, yeah, that is true. It does depend. I do use oracle decks as well occasionally.
And I'm not pulling a card for anybody in particular when I do this. I'm going to pull a card. I'm generalising. Okay. So because every week I try to pull a card for the world, based on my intuition. So this is actually basically just saving me a Monday morning job, and I'll just do it now instead.
Oh, cool.
So look you just participating in this awesome experience.
Oh dear.
Okay, here we go.
She's going to do it, everybody.
Here we go. I love my cards. Okay, so the card that I pulled is actually from Doreen Virtue's Archangel Oracle pack. And the card that I pulled is Passion. And it says, trust and follow your renewed passion in your love, life and career. So if this resonates with you, you need to carry on the path that you're on. You need to keep moving forward. There's so much colour in this card. Your life is so vibrant. There is so much around you that you need to embrace, which you're not embracing as well. There's a bit of sign language going on for the benefit of the listeners.
I don't know what she's talking about. Carry on.
Okay. Feel quite like so the bonding is quite relevant here. And when I say bonding, I mean your family bonding, the bonds that tie you, or the ties that bind you even, the things that are closely connected to you, your home, your love, your family, your job, all those important things that they're really relevant here. My advice here, right? Show your light. Don't be afraid to keep moving forward. Don't let things hold you back, because at the moment it seems really obvious to me, just not in this card, but in general, everyday living, that we all have a light to shine, and that more of us need to be shining our light, not afraid to say what we think, not afraid to be confident,
Yeah. So many people are so quick to shoot you down when you do put an opinion out there, or say, I think we've seen this really quite integrally over this weekend, talking about relationships and stuff like that. Right, you've got two people, prominent media figures, getting married, out to the world, showing their love in front of a media circus, quite frankly. And I don't care what anybody thinks. I love the royal family, and I think it brings the community together in a way that it's not done before. Now, when people were embracing that and putting that out there, people were being shot down in flames. No, it wasn't cups because it was oracle decks, actually. There's a big difference between oracle and tarot.
I was going to let Kerry finish, then I was going to answer. Yeah, there was no cups because it's not traditional tarot. So it's just a deck of cards, archangel cards. So it's actually Archangel Haniel. Haniel, is that how you say it? Yeah, Haniel. Haniel, who passes the message on. So it's him. It's Archangel Haniel. Trust and follow your renewed passion in your love life and career. Plus the other stuff that I said, which I'll post on the page tomorrow. So, pay attention.
So we've all witnessed that, and that brought the community together. It allowed you to, re-embrace those. Oh, isn't that lovely? That reaffirmation that people do fall in love and, have lovely relationships. So it was clear to see they adore each other, regardless of what you think of the royal family as a media commodity. That wasn't what that was about. It was about two people joining together.
Yeah, it was.
And you being able to celebrate in that as a whole, not as a single, that's just a member of my family, it only affects my inner circle. That was a worldwide excitement situation.
It actually united everybody, didn't it?
Yes, united. Regardless of what you thought of the royal family. And,
at the end of the day, though, they're a family. Yes, they're the royal family, but they're a family. We're all watching to see what the Queen's wearing and, who's scratching their bum and, who's coming to the... Do you know what I mean?
And how hot Beckham looks on the day.
We're all ready to judge. All ready to judge. That's another thing I'm working on. We don't need to judge. It's about love. And that's what Harry and Meghan were doing. They were showing their love.
Exactly.
And that we forget. It's easy to just let that wash by and judge, and that's not what that was. And I, for one, I agree with you. I really like the royal family, even though I had to watch the highlights on YouTube later on. But but I think that it's even more special because I don't know about you, but you obviously remember when Harry and William were born, and we've watched them grow up, haven't we? We've watched them get married, and we've watched them change from little boys into young men and into grown men, and
and the hardships they
I actually had a proper choke up watching them arrive at the church and together. I just thought because it resonated for me with my boys, and I thought it was just lovely. It was just I just feel like I know them. It's really strange.
But the reflection of that, there was so many. You saw them as a family. You saw her family issues that have gone on through the last few months. Couldn't have been easy for that girl.
No.
For Meghan on that day. I don't care what anybody says. That could not have been easy for either of them. She didn't have her father there for whatever his reasons were, and Harry didn't have his mother there. So when you talked about what that card has brought forward, that's actually really relevant when you look at what's gone on this weekend. Reassessing your family values, reassessing those, relationship situations, and actually, that re-looking at things and bringing those back to the fore, and the important things, not my washing machine is broken, how the hell can I cope? Your family and re-establishing those bonds is actually really relevant, and that has been reflected on a world stage this weekend. So that card is actually really relevant on a world stage.
The colours in that card are really vibrant. There's a lot of rainbow colour. There's a lot of yellow, orange, red, blue, green, and it all stands out as being the colours of you. Let your colour shine. Let it, move forward, embrace it.
And don't be afraid to do that, regardless of what criticism you might come under. Don't be afraid to do that. And again, that was very prevalent in what's happened this weekend. Allowing yourself to show the world who and what you are and how you feel. And I
really hope that Harry and Meghan are listening.
Of course they are.
I hope they're listening tonight.
Of course they are. Why wouldn't they be? What else have they got better to be doing than listening to the Spirit Dimension on a Sunday evening?
Well, yeah.
If only. Claire, where can they check out your post for tomorrow on this?
Oh, so they can check it out on my page, Clare Hinks Medium, on Facebook. That's the place.
Cool.
That's where it will be.
That's right. Also. And Claire has also done a blog recently on parasearchradio.com. So go check that out. It was awesome. Now,
I'm trying to do more blogs. I will try to do more. I have time issues.
Oh, haven't we all got time issues, darling? Anyway, I nag you mercilessly. I know I'm a horrible, horrible person for that. Anyway, we are also on YouTube. Don't forget to go over, check out all the past shows are over there, so you can have a look at those over there. That is Parasearch Radio on YouTube. Don't forget to click, like, share and subscribe. Subscribe being the most important thing, because it will give you a little heads up when exclusive footage goes up, as well as the latest show. On that note, my lovely, we've actually come to the end of the show, and you was worried we wouldn't be able to talk for an hour.
I know. I think we've done quite well, actually. I'm quite shocked it's gone already. We could just chat. What's it going to be like next week?
I'm on holiday next week, everybody. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. Yes, I am on holiday next week. Oh, my God, I've lost track of... when am I going on holiday? I have no idea. I am on holiday next week. Yeah. Clare Hinks takes the helm.
I think next week.
She takes the helm on Sunday evening. Who have you got in the studio with you next week, Clare?
I have Helen Strong in the studio with me next week, Kerry. She is going to be chatting to us, or chatting to me, only little me, all about her, what's inspired her to become an inspirational speaker. She's going to be chatting to me about her life and how her positive mindset has changed her life in a really positive way.
And that's
so I'm very excited.
Yes, and Claire is worried, but she has no reason to be, because she is absolutely awesome, and I love that girl so much. So anyway, join the Spirit Dimension 9 p.m. next week. Tomorrow, Monday, I will be going live on the Parasearch Radio group page to give you a roundup of all the shows we've got up and coming for that week for you. And then basically I go on holiday and leave everybody else to it. Whoop, whoop.
Go. Have a good time.
Oh, I certainly will. Don't you worry about that. And on that note, I thank you all for listening. I bid you a very farewell, and we will see you tomorrow. Parasearch Radio live group, Parasearch Radio group live, and then 9 p.m. we've got the Parasearch Radio Encore show. But I'll tell you all about that on the live, so tune in to that. On that note, we bid you all a very farewell. Good night.
Night.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.